Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I show the gameplay by Igor and Lukas, and this beautiful game complete in only 20 moves. And let's see how the game play. The game start with the pawn to d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, c4, and this pawn trying to attack the center of the pawn. And you have a very strong opening with the pawn. Then c6 was played, white developed knight, knight c3 and e6. And this typical pattern, you have the semi-slave and with the pawn e3. Then the black continue with the knight b to d7, and this is the first 5 move, and you can see that the white is slightly better in this position with the 2 pawn controlling the center. Then the game continue with the queen to c2, bishop developed to d6, and then the white push the pawn to d3, trying to protect the pawn at c4. So the black go for a short crossing, and now the bishop to b2. Then queen to e7 and h3 was played. After this, e5 was played from the black. And at this position of equal, the white start to launch an attack and trying to attack the king side with the pawn to g4. So the idea of this is to going to push the pawn forwards to g5 and capture the knight and remove the knight from guarding. So after this move, the white play a g4, and here the black just takes the pawn, he takes d4. Then the knight continue to capture, and after this bishop to b4, trying to pin the knight, and this remain the equal position. So here the white just go for a long castling to prevent the pin, and this knight at c3 will be freely to move. After this, knight c5 was played, and here the white continue to attack with the pawn to g5, attack the knight. So after this move, this knight f move to e4, and you have the idea to attack back the pawn, and this knight is controlling back the e4 square if being captured by the knight. So after this move, knight takes the e4, and here the knight capturing back, and again the knight and the queen is attacking the pawn. So after this, the white develop the bishop to d3 and attack the knight, and this allow the rook to be active and connected. And here after this move, the knight just capture the pawn. If you use the queen to capture, such as queen takes g5, then here the white will just continue to capture the pawn, c takes d5, and then c takes d5, then bishop capture the knight, and the pawn capture the knight. Then here the white can just use the rook g h to g1, and this will give white a better, because now the queen cannot move away. If you move away, such as queen to e7, then you have a very beautiful sacrifice with the rook. Rook takes the pawn, the king capture it back, then you have a knight to f5 and check the king and able to win the queen, because this check is a double check, as the knight move to f5, it allowed the bishop at b2 to open check the king, and now the knight also check the king. So you have two check at one time with the bishop and knight, and the knight is attacking the king and also attacking the queen, and will be winning the queen. So if you any move from the king, such as king to g8, then you have a knight to h6 checkmate. And the square is protected, being attacked by the bishop diagonal. So back to this position, the knight just captured the pawn. And after this, the white bring the rook d to g1 to continue attack with the g file. After this, bishop goes to a3 and trying to go for the exchange. And here, the white just play bishop takes the pawn and check the king. And here, the it, because this white is a sacrifice and it cannot be captured. But in the actual game, the black just captured the bishop, and this gives white a clearly winning position. So after this move, here come the brilliant move with the rook takes the pawn and check the king. At move 17, the white made a brilliant sacrifice with the rook. Rook takes the king and it's a brilliant check. So if you use the king to capture, and this was played in the actual game, and now you have the knight f5, and this is a fork with the open check. Therefore, the bishop cannot capture the knight because it's still being checked by the bishop. And after this move, the black move king to g8, and here comes with a very simple move with the knight to h6 and check the king. And again, the bishop is controlling the square, which this create the checkmate, and the king cannot be moved. So back to this position, after the check, the only way, if the king move to h8, then you have a simple checkmate with the queen, and the rook is protected. For example, queen takes king, and if you capture the king, the rook, then the knight continue to check and will be winning a queen. So the only way, the best way to save the king, you have to choose between this move. If you go to the g8, you'll be losing the game, and if you goes to g6, then the knight you just capture the queen and check the king, and here allow the queen to continue check. So after capture the queen, you have the double check again, and again this knight cannot be captured, and here the white will be clearly winning again. And as you see, at this move place, the king again has a very limited place to move, And if you move the king towards the center, such as a king to g5, then you can just use the rook to continue check. And again, now you have a very limited place, and this red color indicate a mate for the black. So nothing much the king can do. For example, if the king move to h6, then here you have a very interesting idea of checkmate by using the rook to g6, and you have another sacrifice. And if you use the pawn to capture, then you have a queen capture the pawn with the checkmate. And if you don't capture the rook, if you move the king to h5, then the queen will just continue to goes to e2 and check the king. So e2 and check the king. And if you move the king to h4, then you have a rook to h6 and check the king. And after the king move to g5, then you can just play a queen to h5, and it will be a checkmate. So when the king is in the center of the square, it will be easily checkmate with the white, and white has many pieces to continue check. So back to this position again, and if you move the king to h5, then you will have a simple checkmate with the queen takes the knight and check the king, as the rook is in controlling the square. And after this check, if you move the king to h4, again the queen will just capture and check the king. So at this game, the beauty move of this game is using the rook sacrifice. And after the rook sacrifice, if you capture with the king, you have a very beautiful double attack and open check, and this prevent the knight being captured by the bishop. And with this, thank you.